Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go over product knowledge. We're gonna go over all the products that we offer here at the company. So here at the company, if you notice, at this point, you might be on GroupMe, you might not be on GroupMe, but you see that people are posting what they make of AOP and what they make for A&H products. Okay, so we offer two type of products. We offer life insurance and we offer A&H accidental and health products. So let's talk about life insurance. So in case you guys haven't noticed, we sell life insurance. Okay. So with life insurance, we offer whole life and we offer term life. Now, realistically, there's only two type of life insurances here. There's whole life and there's term life in the US. Now, there's different types of term life. Okay, so let me talk about term life. Term life, there's like a 10-year term, 20-year term, 30-year term, and so on, 5-year terms, reduced term, different type of terms. With whole life, there's also there's whole life regular, whole life in general, and there's a term called universal whole life, which is what we don't offer. So technically, to be like technical, there's three types of life insurance in the US: term life insurance, whole life insurance, and universal whole life insurance. We no longer offer universal whole life insurance. We used to very, very long time ago, way before I was born, but we no longer do it anymore because a lot of people don't know how to manage it and they end up losing a lot of money. The way universal whole life works, for you guys to know, it's a combination of term and whole put together. It's a set amount of money that you pay for that one pays for a life insurance for typically 20 years, and the other money that you put on it goes into the stock market to invest. That's pretty much it. It's a 20-year term typically with the stock market. Okay, to make it simple. But you're not going to run into them a lot. You're going to mainly run into term versus whole, and that's all we offer. Okay, so with term life, we offer different type of terms. We offer mainly the 10-year term, reduce, and convert. That means this is a 10-year term that you're able to renew this term. You're able to keep renewing it every 10 years till the age of 65, or you're able to convert it to a whole life insurance. Okay. We also, that's the main one you're going to see. We also sell a 20-year term. Okay. We also sell a 15-year term. Actually reduced term. With this reduced term, before I move on, this 20-year term is just a simple 20-year term. It does not have a guarantee renewable convertible. Okay. There's also this 15-year reduced term. All this means is that it literally has a name says it. This term will reduce as the years go by. It's good for 15 years, and it just reduces the coverage, which then reduces the payment every year that goes by. Typically, where is it at? For this,
mortgages?
Yeah, it's for mortgages because your mortgage typically decreases as the years go by. Okay. We also offer a term to 100. This means that the client can get this term and it expires at the age of 100. Okay. And then, thanks for that. Let me correct the terms here. Called decreasing term, not reduced, to be technically correct. Term to 100. And then Brenda always likes to correct me, She likes to show off that she has a diploma in her room and I don't. So anyways, so the term to 100, and then there's also a 4-year term. However, this one you're not allowed to sell. Okay, don't offer. we do have it. You're gonna see it on the e-app. I want you guys to know about it, but don't offer them. Do not sell 4-year terms. Just don't. Now you might. Oh, actually, you can ask why. Why? Well, because Mr. Coin, which is the main guy that started this here, it just doesn't like 4-year terms, and it's a very other companies do, but we don't. The process to qualify for a 4-year term is very hard. It's harder to qualify for a 4-year term compared to a whole life. There's a lot more investigation to go through because typically a 4-year term is extremely affordable, more affordable than a 10-year term. So a client can get like $500,000 for like $30, $40. So the company is going to do their investigation because it's a lot of money to pay. Why are they getting a 4-year term? Do they know something that maybe we don't, that they might die within the next 4 years? So it's harder to qualify. There's more qualification that goes through it. What's up?
Term to 100. I'm looking on the rate book. I don't see it on here.
Yeah, it's not in there.
Okay. Okay. I haven't seen it on e-app. Maybe I'm just not looking for it either.
It doesn't exist on the app. It's a paper application. So if you want to do term to 100, it's only a paper application.
Okay.
Okay. So it's all paper, no digital. Okay. Now, the
only renewable convertible is the 10-year because that's the only one I really recognize that I've seen.
Yes, and we're gonna go over in the app where it is. Okay. Give me a second. Okay, perfect. So there's those. Now there's also actually one more here that I missed. And then it's a 30-year. Also decreasing term. Okay, so it's a 10-year term, which is the most popular one that you're most likely going to see. It's a 20-year term, 30-year decreasing term, 15-year decreasing term, term to 100, which is a paper app. You can only do it through a paper application, and 4-year term, which don't offer it. Okay. Now, where is it on the app? Well, it's found on the super combo. Do you guys see the super combo where I'm showing you?
Yes.
Okay. So here you're able to decide what they get. So let's say John, we're gonna have another video that goes into exactly everything in here. So here's a whole life. You can offer them whole life regular, whole life prefer, whole life executive, select, or this box. Okay, this box after it done keeps loading. You press this box right here. Here we go. Oh, in term to 65. There we go. I knew there was one more. Okay, this is actually very common too. Don't put 65. To 65. So that's found here. So you go here. There you go. Term 65, 30-year decreasing term, 10-year renewable and convertible term, 15-year decreasing term, 4-year renewable and convertible term, 20-year term. This is for non-smokers. If I were to put that they smoke by removing this, then it will have smoker rates. So it's found here. It's also found, let's say I do give them a $10,000 whole life. This is where you can easily get the 10-year term only. Other than that, it's found right here. All of these are found right here. Cool? Cool. All right. Okay, so that's the terms that we offer. And now listen up. On the e-app itself, it won't show. Well, actually, we label it different. If you so on the e-app, this is e-app. This becomes income protection. Okay. On the e-app, this becomes mortgage. Okay, and so on. Mortgage for the 30 and mortgage for the 15. Income protection, which is a main one, the one you're gonna see, is a 10-year term. We label it as income protection. All right, so that's for the term. Questions on it? No? Great. Awesome. So then we also have whole life. Whole life insurance. Whole life insurance, we have 4 different type of brackets. We have regular, we have preferred, executive, and select. Okay. And anything else for whole life? Nope. That's pretty much it for whole life. So we have those plans. Now let's figure out how they work, which is something I think you went over with Bill already. So first is we have the regular whole life, regular life. Okay. That one is any plan. That's just different type of brackets. That falls with any plan that you offer between $1,000 of coverage all the way to what was it?
34,999.
$34.99. Now this regular whole life, this is actually the most expensive per thousand. Now with whole life, one thing you guys understand, whole life is like shopping at Costco or Sam's Club. As you guys know, when you go to Costco or Sam's Club, the more you buy in bulk, the less it is per item. Same thing with life insurance. The more you buy in bigger unit, the less it is per thousand. Okay, so you'll see what I mean later. So regular whole life, 1,000 to 34,099 costs the most per thousand. Okay. Then is it's preferred life, which it's if you sell anything from 35,000 to 59,999. That is still expensive, but it's better than the regular one per thousand. Now keep in mind, it's gonna be the price from here to here. This is gonna be pricier as a unit, but it's less expensive per thousand, and we'll break that down in a bit. Okay, and then you have the executive plan, executive life, which starts at 60,000 to 119.99, and that's it becomes more affordable. And then lastly, you have the select life, which is anywhere from 120,000 till infinity and beyond. Okay. So it's till unlimited. And that's when it's the most affordable per thousand unit. Okay. Guys following? Yes? Okay, perfect. So this is also found in the rate book. There's a new 2021 rate book right here, which it tells you whole life 1,000 to 35, prefer 35 to 59, executive 60 to 120, select 120 and higher. Okay. So here's why that matters a lot. Let's go over everything right now. I'm gonna pull out an existing app right here. John Smith. Let's say I'm filling this out, right? I have John, who was born 1980. So he's what, 20, 30 plus years old? Now the EAP, when you're doing it on the EAP will show the recommendation, which is typically 30,000. If you're gonna do 30,000, just do 35. See, it always starts at 30,000, always.
Mhm.
I'm gonna remove everything from here. So if you're showing 30,000 for EAP, please don't show 30,000. Just might as well show them 35,000. Put them on the other bracket, the preferred bracket. Okay, because you're gonna do them a favor. You're gonna give them more life insurance. So check this out. So you go to premium detail, it tells you the breakdown of every detail. 30,000 for John is $74. 30,000 for Jasmine is $50. $50. Altogether is 125. Okay. By unchecking this and checking that out, it drops it to the bottom to the gray. See? It drops it to the gray. So now it's right here at 125. Now I'm gonna change the 20 unit one. 20 unit one to 35,000. As you can see, 30,000 for each is 125. 35,000 for each is 127. It added $2 more, but they gained 5,000 of whole life each. That's 10,000 altogether that they gain more for only a $2 difference. That's huge. That would definitely put a smile on them. Now, they don't know this. They don't know that they went from 30 to 35,000, okay? And they're not supposed to. We don't want to have another 15-minute conversation with them on how we got to break down the brackets because they don't have to know all that. Our job is to make this the most simple thing ever, okay? So before you even show them any numbers, you already know to change to 35,000 because it's going to be better for them.
Mhm.
And if and then from there, the next option will be 60,000, and let's do, for example, here 50,000, right? 50,000 altogether costs 181, and 50,000 is under the preferred bracket. But if we do $1 more or 10,000 more, 60,000. Actually, let's see how ridiculous this is. Let's say 59,000. 999. Okay, so 59,999 for both each is 218. $1 more to 60,000 becomes so as you can see, 218 to 188. Which one would you rather buy? The 189. Okay, so that saves them basically $30. $30 difference, and you added $1 more to their coverage.
Mhm.
So you guys understand why putting them in a better bracket gives them a better price? $1 more from this one to this one, they reduce it by $30 what they pay a month. That will definitely help you. Okay. Here's also another thing. Let's say you don't want to do it. Let's say you do want to be that agent. Like, no, I'd rather get as much money as possible out of these clients. Well, one, if that's you, then that's so be it. That's not me. We're trying to help out people. Okay, you're gonna be in this business longer if you're really trying to help out people. But let's say you do sell them a $58,000 unit, $58,000 of full life for 150. Sometimes the clients, a couple months later, a year later, they will shop around. They're gonna get another offer, and that offer, they're gonna beat ours because you had the opportunity to give them the better price, but you chose not to get more money for you. But they will find something that will be more affordable. Might as well just put them in the most affordable thing we can offer them, depending on where they're at. Okay, does that make sense, Charles, Jennifer?
So your categories are, so the whole life categories are just based solely on price. I mean, the income bracket, the amount per unit that we're selling. It's just, we have 4 different groups and they're all just divided by the amount.
Yes,
However, the term is not.
correct.
Okay.
With whole life, regular whole life, prefer, executive, select, that's the actual names as a company.
Right.
And you'll find a better rate at a select life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like going to your getting car insurance. The car person, the car insurance agent, they have the rates in front of them. They know that compare a 18-year-old male to a 50-year-old female, the 50-year-old female will have a much better rate compared to the 18-year-old male when it comes to buying car insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's an 18-year-old male, they're gonna automatically put them in the worst rate as possible because their chances are they're gonna, they're barely learning how to drive, which is someone who's much older, someone who's more mature. Same thing as if you go get a loan and you're just you and you have a terrible credit score, they're gonna put you at tier 4 rate versus someone who has a really good credit score, ex-veteran or current veteran, they're gonna get a much better rate. Same thing with this. This offers better rates. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we offer. Okay, when it comes to life insurance, okay, that's what you can offer them. Now, on the EAP, remember, 10-year term is labeled as income protection on the EAP. Okay, so all that is here. So I want to make sure you guys are not confused.
I have a question for you guys, Charles and Jennifer. Jennifer, you probably don't know. If you're trying to add, so a select life.
Oh, we'll do that later.
Okay.
We'll do that later. I just want to make sure we can.
You already knew where I was going with that.
Okay, so this is what we offer. So Bill, welcome back. This is what we offer. And when it comes to life insurance, we offer term life and we offer whole life. Whole life has 4 categories. The more you buy on board, the less it is per 1,000. Term life, we offer these type of terms. And please remember that if you're gonna offer them the terms or the whole life, if you're gonna use a EAP, they're not this. It does not come out as a 10-year term. It's labeled as something else. Okay, so if I go here, husband and wife, press submit, the EAP, it's gonna label them as final expenses, income protection, mortgage protection, college education protection. It won't ever talk about term life or whole life or decrease. The EAP does not talk about that. Here's the reason for that. The company invests millions of dollars into doing the research of what's better for the client. When we sit down with someone, our everyday common person, they know what the word is: income protection, final expenses, mortgage protection. They know that. Most people don't know words like whole life, term life, decreasing term, all that stuff. They're not familiar with it. So the company wants to make this basic to them. But we know that if we can figure out a way to explain to the client whole life versus term in the most simplest way as possible, they're going to understand it. I'd rather do that and be honest with them and give them something that they really understand and they really know how to use.
Mm-hmm.
So on the EAP, when you press submit, based on how much they make and all that, here's what the EAP recommendation is. Summary: primary final expenses, 30,000, income protection, 120, college education, 100,000. You press continue. So the EAP is recommending 30,000 of whole life to cover with final expenses. It's also recommending income protection. It's recommending, this is a 10-year term right here, 10-year term. It is not for 5 years. It's 10-year term, but it's 5 years worth of their income. So do their income times 12 times 5 and you get 120.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can press yes if you want. I usually press no and I'll tell you why. And then the EAP is telling you to that the primary, which is John, he's also going to be covered for ADB, for $100,000 of ADB, which is accidental death benefit. Meaning if John dies and happens to be an accidental death, then John is covered for an additional $200,000 that is given to his beneficiary in addition to the rest. An additional $200,000 that John dies due to an accident. This is not saying that the money here will go to Bobby or Leslie for their education. It is not saying that. It is just labeled that way. So let's say John's beneficiary is Jasmine, and let's say John dies in a heart attack, and John is covered for $30,000 and $120. But if John dies due to a car accident, then John is covered for $30,000 plus $120 plus $200,000, 100 plus 100. And if Jasmine wants to take that $200,000 and gamble it all in Vegas and lose, she has all the rights in the world to do that. We don't verify what to use the money for, ever. No company does. Life insurance, all it is the person died. How did he die? He died this way. Okay, here's a check. Whatever you do with that money, it's on you. That's all that happens, okay? So please don't get confused. This does not mean that it goes to their education. It's just labeling as, hey, you can use this money for their education. And normal day, everyday people are going to relate to that. Okay, so let's press continue. Now,
So do you tell them you can use this for anything?
yeah. I mean, if they have kids, they'll rather hear that you can use it for their kids' education. Anyone who has a child, they'd rather listen to that than me saying you can gamble this. You know? So
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, court, yeah. Obviously, if you compare it to like you can gamble it and piss it away, but children's education is pretty specific when.
yeah, and this is why these words are chosen when companies decided what to label it as. Because anyone who has kids and the kids are a minor, college education is one of the first things that are on a parent's list when they have kids, because they know it's expensive. And I don't know any parent, I haven't met any parent that they have a 5-year-old and the parent's already thinking, yeah, he's not going to go to college. Or no, he's not going to get a better career, better degree. No parent has ever thought about that. I mean, there are parents that think like that, but guess what? We probably don't sit down with them, okay? Because one, they probably did not request a child safety kit because they probably don't care or never heard of it. So we don't really sit down with parents that don't have their, yeah. So talk to any parent. I mean, Jennifer, you're a parent. Has that ever crossed your mind? Like, I'm going to have to start saving for their college education at one point because I do want my kid to go to a much better, career. And that that's not free unless they, the government helps in and unless you get a lot of student aid, all that. But books are expensive. College books are expensive. So, yeah. So if we can, put at ease a parent like, hey, we're going to help with college education up to $200,000 for all of the children. But like, oh, shoot. In their head, they're already looking at this like, okay, so you're telling me that your company, one, is going to pay my funeral, final expenses. They're going to pay my funeral. They're going to protect my income protection, and they're going to pay for the education of my child if I were to pass away. Oh, well, and it's only $289. You tell me I can take care of everything, my funeral, my income, and the education of my children for $289. Where do I sign? This is why the company labeled it this way, because it reaches to them in an emotional way, and a logical way too when they see these numbers. Okay, just keep that in mind that this is only ADB, saying that we're covering the primary if they pass away due to an accident, which brings us to where we're at. Now here is a whole life. Whole life and term life will pay no matter how you pass away. Accidental, natural age, COVID, whatever. In addition to that, to either one of them, you can add a program called ADB, which stands for Accidental Death Benefit. Okay. This, you can add it to the term, or you can add it to a whole life. Okay. But you cannot sell it by itself. You can sell term by itself. You can sell whole life by itself. You can combine them together, whatever you want. The ADB, you cannot sell ADB by itself. Through the EAP, you actually, to be honest with you, you technically you can, if you want to, you can sell ADB by itself, but it has to be through a paper application. But it's just a whole different thing. So we don't really sell ADB by itself. So ADB has to be attached to a whole life or has to be attached to a term life. And ADB is just if that person were to pass away due to an accident, they get much more. How much more? That's up to you. You can give them anywhere from $1,000 to a max of $200,000. And this is per insured. Okay, so you can add this to the term or add this to the whole life. So let's do a quick practice thing. So let's say John here, he has 30,000 of whole life. He has 120,000 of 10-year term. Okay.
Income protection.
And then he has 100,000 of ADB. Okay. Let's see, Jennifer, if John passes away due to a sickness, he died from COVID, how much is his beneficiary getting total?
$150.
Correct, 150. What about if he passes away due to he fell in his bathtub and he knocked his head?
And then he'll get the 250.
A 250, exactly. Did you get that, Charles? Bill? Okay, because whole life and term covers any type of death. So natural 150. Now, because he dies due to an accident, it will be that plus the 100,000.
Mhm.
Okay, which is why here college education primary is John. So if John dies due to an accident, he's covered for an additional 100,000, 200,000 more, which is recommended to the children's education. Okay, now for this one is 200,000 per insured, up to 200,000 per insured. That means John can have 200,000 and Jasmine can also have an additional 200,000 of ADB. Okay,
Why is it only,
say it again.
why is it only covering the primary? Why not?
So the system will automatically cover the primary because the way this should be in order is whoever is the breadwinner of the house, you should always put as a primary. Okay. And then most of the time, to be honest with you, you can call this psychologically, traditionally, whatever you want. If we sit down with a husband and wife and they both work, most of the time we're going to put the husband as a primary. Okay. And there's a lot of reasons why. Most of it is just traditionally, you know, the husband is the one that goes to work like very long time ago. And then the mom is more nature, you know, to take care of the kids and so on. But even in the current era, usually the male are the ones that die quicker, which is why when it comes to life insurance, male are more expensive than females because they usually have more dangerous job. They usually are involved in more accidents. They're usually they do a lot of dumb things. So if you notice a lot of videos on YouTube where there are a lot of dumb things happening, they're usually males, not a lot of females. Okay, so there's a lot of actual real facts that go into that. We always put the now if I'm sitting down with Jasmine and Jasmine is the only one working and John is not, then I'm definitely going to put Jasmine as primary. Okay, but the system will automatically put the primary as the one that receives ADB on the EAP. But you can go down here and just put ADB on spouse or on both.
So what type of term life is this ADB?
Say that one more time.
What type of term life is the ADB?
So ADB is not a term or a whole life.
It is
No. So term is a term life. Whole life is a whole life.
right.
Whole life, it's what the name says. It's for your whole life.
Right.
It's not meant to. You don't have to renew it and convert. Now, if you all pass a test, you got your license. So technically, whole life does have an ending period. It ends when someone turns 120 years old, which no one gets there. Which is why the word whole life comes in, because it's for your whole life. Term, it depends on the term you get. 10-year term, term to 65, depending on the term you get is where it ends.
Mhm.
Okay, both of them will pay out no matter what. ADB, it is not a life insurance. ADB is not life insurance because the word life insurance means it covers any death.
So
And
is
ADB,
it, yeah,
ADB doesn't cover any death, only covers accidental death.
right.
So this is not a life insurance, so it's not a term or a whole life. Now, it does have an expiration date though. So this term life is good till age 70. At age 70, it's done. Okay.
Yep.
So if someone has ADB at the age 70, they're going to receive a letter that says, hey, we're going to remove ADB and your policy will go down approximately $8 exactly.
Do we
Okay.
disclose that? I've never heard you mention that in a preso, so we don't say that.
No, we don't disclose that. If you want, you can. We don't really disclose it because we don't really pitch ADB. There's a specific time and place where we pitch ADB. We used to pitch ADB a lot, but now we replace ADB with an A71 policy that they can keep forever. Okay. And usually ADB is always talked about as a POS. If we revisit a client that doesn't have ADB, we add it in there. And do we disclose it? That'll be up to you. I generally don't, because by the time they're 70, they know that it's an accident. It's not, what's up?
I just wanted to add, it's until 70 or at the end of the premium period. So since it's attached to a whole life or a term life, let's say this person has term life for 10 years, and they only want it for 10 years, that ADB will end when that term is over. Or let's say, the whole life, if they have the whole life, then it ends,
Yeah,
till
since
70.
it's attached to a policy, yeah. If you're done with the policy and you don't pay for it anymore, then this goes away too. It's an add-on. Okay, just like anything else. If you have free parking lot at Six Flags, but you have to buy the season pass and you cancel the season pass, you can't keep the free parking. Okay, even if you're paying for it, it has to be added on. And this will finish at the age of 70 if they continue with the whole life or term, or whenever they end up, when the term or whole life ends soon. Okay, whatever comes first. Did you guys get that? Okay, so this is the only add-on that you can add to a term life, or you can add to a whole life. We're on the same page?
Yep.
Okay, now all of this, whatever you sell that is a term life and whatever you sell that as a whole life, that all of this equals AOP. Okay, which stands for annual living premium, which is what you see on the GroupMe. So if all of this costs, $100 a month, what we do is we multiply it by 12 months, and we get 1,200 AOP, which is what you see people post on GroupMe. Okay, you guys follow?
Yep.
Perfect. Now, all of this is the life insurance that we offer, the AOP. Now, other than life insurance, we offer one more thing, which is our A&H products.
They should really call it life insurance, death insurance.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound as you want to buy
I
death.
know, it's not as appealing, obviously.
But it's true. When you die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably
Yeah.
one of the original marketing decisions in American business because it goes back 100 and something years. They said, we can't call it death insurance.
Yeah, I don't think that'll I don't think that'll come out right. More. I'm trying to find the thing. You said it's under more product, right, Brenda? Oh, found it. Okay, and then you have A&H products. Okay, so let's go over the A&H products right now. Do you have the A&H products on your sheet, Brenda?
Do you want to just share the cheat sheet? That way you're not typing everything out. It's all on there.
I don't know where it is though.
I could, if you allow me access, I'll just share it. I have it open.
Oh, okay, there we go. So the A&H products, we have most common one, an A71 product. Okay. And then we have a cancer plan. Cancer plans. Now, the A71 products, we have different type of products. We have a 100 unit. We have a 100 unit, 200 units, 300 units, 400 units, and 500 units. The cancer plan, we have a 30 units, 20 units, 15 units, 10 units, and I believe a 5 units. Now the units is just the coverage we offer. The bigger the units, the more coverage we offer. I'll do it backwards so it can be the same. The more units there is, the more coverage they get. We also offer an H34. We're gonna go over what all that means. H34, it's 50. It goes by $50, $100, and $150. We also offer a critical illness plan. And the critical illness, the units are 100,000, 25,000, 50,000. You guys gonna like the critical illness. I love the critical illness. I have a critical illness plan. Okay, so for all this we just call units. Okay. And that's pretty much it. That's all the units. That's everything we have. A71, cancer plan, H34, and critical illness plan. Okay. So now what do they mean? Now the A71, depending on the unit, I'm gonna share something else. That can be found right here. So this is the type of units they offer. You guys can see what I'm sharing, right? Okay. So annotate.
100, 200, 300, 400, 500.
So depending on the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, depend how much coverage we're going to offer them. So 100 unit hospital confinement, where they're confined to the hospital due to an accident, we're going to pay $100. So see, it's a pattern. 100, that means it starts with $100 per day, and it doubles to 50. I mean, it doubles to 100, so 200, and then $50 per the unit. The 200, if you notice, it starts at $200 per day they're confined to the hospital. It doubles to 100. It doubles to 400, and then the 50 doubles again to 100. The $30 units starts at 300, doubles 600, and then 150. The ER goes from $50, $50, 100, 150, 200, 250. It's by 50. 400 units, $400 per day they're confined to the hospital. 800 double. 500 units, $500 they're confined to the hospital. 1,000 if they're confined to the hospital. ICU. You guys get that part?
Yeah.
That's the easiest way you can remember this. Same thing for if they die. The A71 unit has an additional amount if they die due to an accident. A 100 unit, just remove the 0. Starts with 1, the number 1. So that means it's 10,000 if they die due to any type of accidental death. Automobile, just keep doubling it. Double 1,000, 10,000 times 2 is 20,000. 10,000 times 3 is 30,000. So automobile, common carrier, that's any transportation that they pay for, like a bus, train, taxi, ferry boat. 200 units starts with 20,000, any type of death, any type of accidental death. 40,000 because it's double, 60,000 because it's triple. 300 units, 30,000, 60,000, 90. You guys get the point?
Right.
Okay, perfect. And you'll see we do a lot of more than that. You'll see during the presentation we talk more into detail with that. Okay, so those are the units. Depending on the units that you want to provide to them, you're able to provide between 100, 200, 300, and 400. Now, keep in mind that the 100 unit one, this is the A71s. You can sell the A71s by themselves. So if someone who just wants to buy a cancer plan, they can absolutely do that. If they want just to buy an H34, an H71, or critical illness, they can do that. They do not need to buy life insurance to get an accidental and health plan. Okay, but we usually combine them. For us, an accidental and health plan is like the cherry on top. The main thing is the life insurance. The A&H products is the cherry on top because the A&H products are extremely affordable. For the amount of benefits they get, they're extremely affordable. The most expensive thing that's going to cost the most is the life insurance, mainly the whole life. All right. So if someone, now the A71 does have a death benefit. Okay, we just went over that. The death benefit is dependent on the amount that they get. So let's run an example. Let's use John again. And Bill, you're up with this one. Okay. If John has 30,000 of whole life, wait, I should not use that. Let's say 35,000 of whole life. And he has 100,000 of a 10-year term. Okay. And then he has no ADB, but let's say he has an A71 300 unit. Okay, ready, John? Ready, Bill? So you're on mute, by the way. So if John dies while driving, how much does John cover if he dies while driving in an automobile accident?
135 plus 30, $165,000.
Okay, Is that your final answer? What about you, Jennifer? What about you, Charles? I want your answer too.
Oh, it's an auto accident, so you double it. So, no, wait a minute.
You guys can pitch in anytime, Charles, Jennifer. If John dies and while driving his car, so in a car accident,
He gets 200,000, so it's 200 plus 35 plus 30, 265,000.
you said 265,000. Okay.
Yeah,
What about you, Jennifer? Charles?
I'll go with Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all go with Bill. Okay, let's examine this. So the 300 unit, let's see how much that pays out. So, Bill, I want to just go over the 300 unit. How much is it cover for accidental death if they pass away due to an accident, any type of accident?
it pays, any type of accident pays 30,000.
Okay, what about any automobile accident?
60,000,
Common carrier?
90.
Okay, now let's examine this. So this is if I say he dies in an automobile, this is gonna pay out
60.
60K. So if we do whole life pays out no matter what, term life pays out no matter what, he dies in an automobile accident, how much is the family getting?
195.
195.
We should have known that. That's right out of the state license exam.
Say that one more time.
There's a question in the state license exam that makes you do that exact math.
You didn't get
Obviously, I
that.
didn't remember.
Is that one of the questions you got wrong in the state exam?
Probably. I got 83% or something. I bet you that's one I got wrong.
Okay, but you understand
Yes.
why this family, the beneficiary, is gonna get paid 195,000. Do you understand that too, Charles and Jennifer?
Yeah.
You'd get
Okay.
165 if it weren't an auto accident and it weren't a car and carrier accident.
Let's say he died in a bus. He paid for that fare, so he died in a bus. That means this becomes 90,000. Okay, so at that point, then he's covered for 225. The benefit. You get it?
Yep.
Okay, let's do one more example. Let's say A71, 500 units. Let's say he dies in he falls on the ladder. Okay. Ladder to these. Okay. How much is the payout?
185.
How much?
I got 185.
185. Exactly. Because 500 units starts at 50,000 any type of accident. And this is considered any type of accident. That's the benefit. Okay. Is that the same thing you got, Bill, in your head?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
Well,
always
let's
kind of
see.
wondered why it pays double for a car and triple for a common carrier.
That's a great question. I will show you email and find out why. Remind me to do that. Now let's say he dies in a heart attack. How much is John covered?
135.
135,000. Correct. Do you guys get it now?
Yeah, because the
Okay.
A71 is accidental.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Now let's do something else. Let's say John has 60,000 of whole life. He still has 100,000 of 10-year term. he has 100,000 of ADB, and he has 871 300 units. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna ask.
I'm glued to my seat.
Okay, so I want you guys to do the calculation, and I want you got to tell me how much did I for all three of this. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it real quick. Where is the option? Okay. Okay, so I paused it, I unpaused it. If you guys are doing the math in your head, whoever's watching this, please pause the video and try to do it on the side. See how much you get. See if we all got the same question, the same answer. So for car accident, if John dies in a car accident, car death, yeah, car accident. Let's see here, Charles, what did you get?
320.
You said 320?
Yeah.
What about you, Jennifer?
I got 3K, but looking at it, I think I've messed
Okay.
up my calculating.
What about you, Bill?
320.
320. Okay, so let's find out. So based on this, now I'm a little nervous. Okay, so Brenna, what's the answer?
320.
320?
Yeah.
60, 61, 20, 20, 320.
Yes, that's 320. Okay. What about ladder? Bill?
For ladder, I'm a 290.
Charles?
290.
And Jennifer?
290.
Yep, that's correct, right? Right, Brenda? Okay. What about heart attack, Jennifer?
I got 160.
You got 160. What about you, Charles?
160.
Bill?
160.
Perfect. It's 160. Okay. Oh, I feel like a proud parent. Okay. Yes. So you guys got it
There
all
is right
correct.
there.
Good job, guys.
No hands,
Show your
Mom.
work. So yes, you got this amount. Okay. So it's really important to know how much is going to be paid out because clients will have those questions. And when you get a POS form, and won't say it nicely, they're going to die for this. It's all over the place. Okay. A POS, just so you guys know, there's going to be a lot of different forms. It's going to look something like this. Sure, it's one form. It's going to look like this. WLR 7371. It's going to look like that. A71 200 unit. Okay. ADB, WP, WL. That's how it's going to look. So it won't be nicely. So your job is to do it before you meet with the client, find out what they have so you can actually go over it. Okay. So I'm glad you guys know how to read that now. Okay. Cool. We're going to go over exactly how to read it another time. Post
There's
check.
also a document on the drive that has all the abbreviations. So you could reference.
Yeah, we went over that when you were out.
It has
So yeah,
all the what?
this right here. And there's a
No, no,
document
no.
here that has the abbreviations of
Yeah.
everything that we've done, which
Mhm.
is so which we're gonna go over that. Let me see more product knowledge.
Acronyms.
So you guys will get a link that links you to this page. Can you see it now? Okay,
I see
that
the
pretty
cheat
much
sheet.
that will go over everything. Type of insurances, whole life. It tells you more about it. Please read it. Term life. 10-year term, 4-year term, 20-year term, decreasing term, turn to 65, turn to 100. Yeah. And so on and so on and so on. Okay. Now let's get back to this. So yes. So that's how much the whole life is. I mean the accidental death. Now, keep in mind, so that's the A&H, I-71. There is a rule of thumb that is not on the EAP and the EAP won't correct you. So we know that whole life pays out no matter what. We know that term life pays out no matter what. We know that to your choice, you can add ADB to your term life or to your whole life. And now we know that we can add an A71 policy. Okay. There's no limit on how much life insurance you can get. Okay. So life insurance is both whole life or term, either way. There's no limit. There is a limit on how much accidental coverage you can get. Accidental death coverage. That's combining. If you combine ADB and A71, there is a limit. Okay. The max is 300,000 of overall per insured.
300,000 in ADB and A7 in ANH.
Yes, correct. Because
Total ANH.
ADB by itself, the limit is anywhere from 1,000 to 200,000 per insured. You can't give it any more than that. But if you combine them, combining the A71 and the ADB is 300,000. Okay, here's what I mean by that. We just did that actually. We just did the math from that. Okay, because if John has 100,000 of ADB, I mean, we literally just did it, and he has a A71 300 unit, then if John dies due to any type of accident, John is covered for how much, Bill?
John, any type of accident, 290 would be the payout.
For this case,
Oh, well, he's got 30. Didn't write that down. Any type of accident. So he gets 100.
So he has 100,000 of ADB and an A71 300 unit. Big Charles,
You
what
get-
do you get?
He gets 130.
130. Automobile,
160.
160. Common carrier,
190.
so he's covered for 190,000. Okay, that's because I combine both ADB with A71. But we gotta follow this rule. If you combine ADB with A71, you cannot exceed 300,000 per insured. Now, what's the highest payout here? 190. Is that over 30,000? No, it's not. So you're good there. But the moment I do a 500 units, this becomes, and with the 100,000 of ADB, this becomes 150. This becomes 200. This becomes 250. So we're still good. It's still good because it's still not above 300,000. But let's say I do. Let's say I max out ADB. What's the max amount of ADB I can give someone? Charles?
No. I didn't write that down.
Jennifer, do you know what's the max ADB I can give someone?
200.
200. So let's say I give the max amount of ADB to John in the A71 500 unit. So now John, if he dies due to any type of accident, he's covered for 200 plus 50,000, that's 250. 200 plus 100,000, that's 300. And then 350. As you can see, This went over the max amount of payout we can give, which is 300. The max is 300,000 if we combine it. So this goes over it.
Mhm.
The application, the system will not correct you. It will let you submit this. And then a month later, you're going to get a modification from the company that says, hey, we cannot give your client what they want. You put down 871 500 unit, we're going to have to drop it down to 300 unit. And you're going to have to get this document signed that says, hey, we dropped down your coverage. No one wants to hear that as a client. Okay, so it's going to probably cause a cancellation. Hopefully not, but it's what it is. So you got to know that. Now, the only way you can max out the ADB, let's say I do max out 871 500 unit. If I give him 500 unit, I have to drop this to 150. Because if I drop it to 150, this becomes 200, this becomes 250, this becomes 300. And that's where we cannot pass. So we're good. Or if I really want to give him 200,000 of ADB, then I have to drop down the 871. Okay. So you guys understand now?
Yes.
So some of the applications you're gonna see back then, a lot of people, a lot of agents like myself and Brenda, we combine ADB with 871. Now what we're doing is we're moving away from ADB and we're only maximizing 871 because as an 871, they have more coverage when it comes to them going to the hospital. What we're doing now is we're no longer offering them any ADB. Instead, we're trying to max out the 871 unit because of the hospital confinement benefit, especially if they have kids. Now, I'm gonna pick up Jennifer again because she has kids. You have little babies. Okay, so I mean, I'm not a parent, but I've been told by parents that especially if it's your first child, if they have something even small, like they fail something, as a parent, they worry to the extreme, especially if it's their first child. You know, they're not dying, anything like that, but if they fell on their bicycle, they're like checking everything, checking if they have a broken bone, checking where it hurts, checking, you know, all of that because it's your first child. So you're obviously scared. Here's one thing that every parent has told me. I've done many presentations. Every parent says that you will take your child to the ER at least once. It might not be because they're dying. It might be for a simple thing, but you will take them because as a parent, you're worried that you want to just cover all your bases, making sure they're good. So I don't know if that's true. Jennifer, how old is your oldest child?
She's 3.
3.
She's my firstborn, but I have 2 stepkids.
Okay. Have you ever taken into the ER? No. Good.
I was raised like the Hispanic way. And we'll rub some dirt on it. My daughter has that mentality, like she gets hurt, she's gonna jump up and just bounce back. But I also, the last kid that I helped raise was my brother, and he's a boy. Like you said, boys they're out there, okay? So he really like helped me, I guess you could say. So I didn't overreact as a new mom.
Good. Here's what parents tell me. Yes, that's how everything is changing. Parents say either you're gonna take them between the ages of 1 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take them between the ages of 1 to 12, you're gonna take them with the ages of 13 to 17. Mm. Because either the ages of 1 to 12 is where they're exploring, they're climbing everything as it should be. All right. And if they don't take to the ER, then you take them between the ages of 12 and 17, because that's when they're doing more dangerous things like skateboarding, going out, and bicycle, all that stuff. I mean, not always, don't get me wrong, not always. I never went to the ER. Actually, that's a lie. I did go to the ER. But not everyone, but most parents will tell you you're going to take them at least one, even if it's not something major, even if it's something small. And if you have health insurance and it's really good, you're still going to take them to make sure they're good. If they have a peanut stuck in their nose, you can't take it out, you're going to go to the ER before it's too late. You know, simple things like that.
That happened to you, right? I'm just kidding.
I'm going to go to the Home Depot and get a pair of needle nose pliers. That's what I'm going to do.
And this is why Bill, his last child was 34 years ago. You know? No, just joking.
You know, I went to the ER when I was a kid all the time.
Yeah, I went to the ER too. I broke my skull. But anyways, let's not get into that.
Nothing major.
Nothing major. So that's why when we pitch them, you'll see that we're maxing out the A71. Now, what how do we know what to give them A71? It all has to do with how much they make in a day. So what we like to compare the hospital confinement is as an income protection. So if they get hurt, because if someone works and they go to the hospital, it's because they got hurt at their job. Okay, because something happened due to an accident. No one just goes to the hospital because they have a flu and they're at work, because it just doesn't make sense. They just won't go to work. Okay. But if they go to the hospital from work, it's because an accident happened. So this is why, that's a better way to put it. If they go to the hospital from their job, it's because an accident happened. And this is where we like to put this as an income protection. And it even has it right here. You guys still see everything I share, right? So everything I'm going through. Okay. This is why the family plan here is as an income protection, A71.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So we don't really combine ADB and A71 anymore, all right? So whoever's watching this, we don't combine them. And you'll see that during the training you get, we don't really talk about ADB at all. We just talk about A71 and bigger units. ADB is more something that you want to add on a year later, and we'll show you how. But if you see anyone with a POS, with existing policy, you see that they have a lot of ADB, okay? So we talked about A71. Now let's talk about cancer plans. Now cancer plans, depending on the unit, you're able to get those many units. The cancer plan is very simple to explain. It all has to do, depending on the unit, depending on how much cover we give them. So all of this is found on the slides, on the drive. So if you can go to cancer plan. Oh, by the way, you can go to A71 and it's found right there, single, double, triple, 400, 500 units. Cancer plan, right there, 10 units, 20 units, 30 units. There's also a 5 or something in here. So let's talk about 10 units. So this is how much. So this cancer plan, with the way it does, it pays out the client for, depending on the service, not the service. What is the word? Depending on what they go in for is what we pay. Okay, so if hospital confinement, we pay up to 50,000 for them to be confined to the hospital. Drug and medicine, 500. Surgery, anesthesia, we pay whatever they have to pay out of pocket, all the way to this amount. With people that have, here's the thing with cancer, it's very easy to sell, because with cancer, if you have health insurance, which most of you should, your health insurance will cover most of your procedures. That's the word for cancer. They'll cover most of it. Here's the thing about cancer. Now where we're at compared to 50 to 100 years ago, more and more people are surviving cancer compared to a long time ago. The thing, cancer is very expensive. So more people are surviving it, but more people are going into debt because of Kaiser. Assuming you're an adult, people that are kids, they usually go to Children's Hospital and helps pay the bills. But with adults, it's very expensive. Your health insurance will cover cancer if you ever get diagnosed with cancer, but you're most likely gonna max out their coverage because your health insurance can only cover so much. So you're gonna have to pay some out of pocket. So that's why this supplemental cancer plan is very important, because it supplements whatever you gotta pay out of pocket, and it breaks down what it is. It covers every procedure. Here's the most common one. This is a 10-unit one. So blood and plasma is very common because you gotta, make sure your blood is constantly being clean. It covers up to $1,000. That's per procedure. Now, there is no limit in leukemia. Leukemia is a very common when someone has cancer. There is no limit, so this doesn't exist no more. So all this does is it breaks down the procedures. Now, if it's a really bad cancer and there is an extended benefit, if they're in the hospital for 91 consecutive days and they can't go home, so it's a severe case, then instead of breaking it down per procedure, we just give the client $6,000 per month until one or two things happen, until either they pass away or they survive cancer. Okay, but it starts working on the 90 after 91, the first 91st consecutive days. we start paying every month. Okay, we don't care if they go in there for 1 procedure, 2 procedures, 10 procedures. If they go in there for 1 procedure and they pocket the rest, they only use 1,000 off of it, great. We don't check that. We just cover them 6,000. That's for a 10 unit. If you go to a 20 unit, it's the same thing, except the numbers get bigger, more coverage. Extended benefit is 12,000 a month. And if you go to the last unit, 30 units, all the numbers here got bigger. Extended benefit is 18,000 a month. 18,000 a month for extended benefit. Okay, this is a very, very easy policy to sell because everyone knows at least one person with cancer. It could be a friend, a coworker, or someone on social media that you follow, a family most of the time, but everyone knows at least one person with cancer, so they can relate. And cancer is something that you can just get. Doesn't matter your health, your age. If you're an athlete, if you're healthy, unhealthy, you can get it. Okay.
Yeah, how do you derive 30, 20, 10 units compared to the coverage it is? There's not the same shorthand as there was with the A&H.
How do you what?
With the A&H, I think it was the A&H, it's 30 units equals 30,000 in coverage.
Oh, how
right?
do you like tell that to the client?
Yeah, how do you, what you as an agent, how do you, and a salesman, how do you determine, you like, it's easy with A&H, 30 units, $30,000, 50 units, $50,000, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what's that
Oh, gotcha.
conversion when you're
I
selling a
get you.
cancer plan?
What are you gonna say, Brenda?
Go ahead.
Okay, so with cancer plan, there's not really one. There isn't really. So
Okay.
here's for example, all of this, by the way, is found here in the corner on needs analysis. So I added cancer. Oh, actually, let me do it again. So let's say I add a cancer plan. I can decide if for primary only, primary and spouse, or together, primary and spouse. Okay, so it's right here. How do you determine? There's not really a way. You just have to know. I mean, it's there for you. You go through it with the client. So it's not something you'll never have to memorize this
Mhm.
because you can just go through it with the client. Okay. Now, based on this 30 cancer plan, $30 unit for both primary and spouse costs $32. The 10 unit one costs $11. So if this was me, depending on the client and their budget, I will go either from 20, 30, or 10, 20, or 30. Now, if I know that they know someone with cancer, like a family member, and they personally went through that struggle of paying all those bills, you bet you I'm going to provide them with a $30 unit one. Because they're going to see the max amount of coverage. And you show them, when every time we sell a cancer plan, we screen share our we screen share all of this. Like, oh, look, this is the way it works. It covers this amount per procedure, this amount per this procedure. If there's an extended benefit, is this amount per procedure until either you, God forbid, pass away to cancer or you survive cancer. You just share this with them. There's no other way.
Mhm.
And they get it too. Okay, so here's the benefit of this. Let's look at a specific client. This client is 60, well, right now it's probably 76 years old. She's still alive, I know that, okay? This client got a cancer plan, got a 10 unit cancer plan. The lowest, one of the lowest one, okay? Pays $8.23. $8.23 for one of the lowest cancer plan. Here's the payout for this specific client. In 2008, that's when everything started. 2008, the payout was 18,000. And then 2009, 9,000. 2009 again. This is all between 2009. 3,700, 3,900, 7,700. All this 2009. 3,800, 3,900, 7,400, 3,700, 4,900. So as you can see, this is literally all 2009. Now 2010. This is all 2010. 38, 39, 15,000, 4,300, 77. So you can see it pays out a lot. Okay. This lady, it's good. She hasn't hopefully she doesn't pass away due to cancer, but she's alive. And the company has paid over $1 million to her on all the services she has gotten. Okay, this is not all of it because this ends in this was from 2013. So we're still missing the ones from this year. So just to show you guys how much this pays out. Okay, it can be the most smallest cancer plan out, it pays out. What's up?
I have a question. So that's the 10 unit. I'm looking at the, the maximum benefit.
Mhm.
In my head, like those amounts way exceed those maximum benefits. I just want to know how exactly does that pay out? Because I know the only one that has no limit is if they're there for 91 consecutive days in the hospital.
Well, this is per procedure. So per visit they go to the hospital.
Okay.
So
So let's
that
say they
is-
had let's say they had one surgery, that's 5,000 max for that surgery. If they have another surgery, that's 5,000 max for another surgery.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So it basically replenishes after it's utilized for like that one operation.
Yep, like the A71 as well.
Okay.
Okay. And that's pretty much that. So we all get the cancer plan. Okay. And don't worry, this is a rough, like going over everything very quick. There will be specific classes that will teach you exactly how the cancer plan works and how we'll go into detail. Okay.
Continuing education, 9 a.m. Saturday.
Yes. Continue education, 9 a.m. Saturday. Okay. Then now let's talk about the H34. Now the H34 is okay. The A71 only covers accidental. If they're confined to the hospital due to an accident, it pays a certain amount. The H34 is pretty much the same thing, but it's health. So if they're confined to the hospital for health reasons, it pays out your choice of $150, $100, $75, or $50. Oh, I forgot the 75 in here. Okay, and that's either all of this is either per day for a max of 365 days, or per ER visit. Okay, so unlike the A71, it's not up to per ER visit, it's plain and simple. So if you have a fever or you have a stomach ache, you're throwing up blood, you go to the ER and you have this plan, the 150, we're going to pay you 150. We're not going to pay you up to 150. We don't care what your copay is. We're just going to pay you 150. If you're confined to the hospital for 2 weeks and you have, again, this plan, we're going to pay you per day 150. You get it? So it's very cool because it will cover anything at this point. Here's the cool thing about the H34. It doesn't just cover health, it also covers accidents. So in a way, H34 covers any visit to the hospital. Either you're confined or ER.
But you can get the 34 and the 71 at the same time? And it'll
Yes.
pay out both ways on an accident?
Yes. So you can get any A&H products you can buy by themselves, you can buy all together. You can do whatever you want. Same thing with whole life, you can do whatever you want. You can combine everything if you want. The only thing you can't do with whatever you want is the ADB. ADB can only be attached to a term or a whole. Everything else, whole life, accident, anything A&H can be sold as whatever. By itself, together, all in bulk, whatever you want.
Is the H34 more expensive than the A71?
Yes, sir. Okay, let's look at this example right here. Okay, so let's remove all this term, income, children's education. Let's remove them to here. So let's compare. So let's say I'm adding A71. I can decide to add a primary, spouse, child, primary, spouse, and child. Do me a favor, please don't make this silly mistake. If you're sitting down with the family, meaning husband, wife, and kids, add them all in the policy. Don't just add husband and wife, because at one point they're gonna call you, my child's in the hospital. I do remember I have a plan that pays out if he goes to the hospital due to an accident. You look at the policy. Oh, you do, but I only added you and your husband. I didn't add the kids. Sorry. Yeah, cancel my policy. You guys are not worth it. Okay. So don't make that silly mistake. If they have a whole family, add the whole family. Okay. So let's say A71 versus age 34. All of them. Premium detail. There you go. In the A71, the max unit is $22.33. Age 34, $150 is $43. This is for the whole family too.
Mhm.
Individually is more affordable. And then you can break it down to 175 or 50. Okay, so that's very easy to understand. Does that make sense, the age 34? Yeah, okay. And then you have a critical illness. This is also very easy to understand. Critical illness means if you suffer a critical illness like a heart attack or a stroke. There's more examples, but that's the most common one. Okay. Critical illness. Critical illness means if you're diagnosed with a critical illness, like a stroke or a heart attack, you receive a one-time payment, one time only, of, depending on the one you got,
Mhm.
it would be 10,000 or 25 or 50,000. That's it. That's all it does. If you're diagnosed with a critical illness, you get a one-time payment of 20, 10, 25, or 30. Okay, it's that simple. It's and it's very affordable too. So let's look at it here. CI right here, critical illness. It's only for adults, by the way, no kids. Primary and spouse. Critical illness. See, 50,000, 25,000, or 10,000. For husband and wife, because these people are in their 40s, costs $55 for both of them together because they're in their 40s. Okay. For example, I think I'm paying like $10 for the highest one because I got it when I was like 21. And it's worth it. I mean, $10 is like going to McDonald's and getting a meal. Okay. So it's very affordable. Critical illness just pays that, which is why sometimes I kid around and Brenda says, "Why are you drinking so many Monsters? Why do you take too much pre-workout when you go to the gym?" I'm like, well, if I get a heart attack, we're gonna get paid. We're gonna pay $50,000. That's a nice vacation. So kidding. But
That's
yeah,
right, Jennifer. Shake your head. Shake your head. That's right.
thank you. But there's always one of this.
There he is, drinking more Monster.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is the critical illness only for adults?
That's a great question that I never asked myself. It's just what's available only for adults.
Okay.
If you want to look more into detail,
Is this,
let's look again.
does this expire?
Product
Critical
knowledge. Great question. Critical illness right here. No, it does not. Critical illness. I don't think it will say why it's only for adults though. No, actually, I read this whole thing. It does not say why it's only for adults. So there we go. Look, stroke, heart attack, end-stage renal failure, major organ transplant, total loss of hearing, total loss of eyesight. See? Nope, it does not say why it's only for adults. Oh, it does say, which, very important. Oh, very important for the critical illness. Now that I remember, this policy is oh, there we go. This policy will not pay the benefit in the if the first diagnosis of the covered critical illness is made outside of the United States. Okay, so if they have a suffer a critical illness outside of the US, it does not pay out. Okay, so very important. And I don't why I don't know. It's just what the company rule is. My guess is because with other third world countries, you know, the water is not as safe as here. The food is not as safe as here, so it might cost you to most likely have a critical illness. You go to the middle of the desert, you're most likely to get a stroke or you know a heat stroke. So I'm assuming that's my explanation. Also, this policy does not cover any loss cost contributed by your participation in a felony or illegal occupation. So if you're robbing a bank and that gun happened to take your loss of hearing because that gun was shot in front of you and you're the one robbing a bank, then it's not going to pay out. Mental or emotional disorders, suicide, attempt to take your life. So again, if this causes of that, any acts of war, if you suffer critical illness because you're under the influence, so if you're driving with drugs or alcohol, it does not pay out. I mean, but this is very common. This is like with everything. Like this is, no one's gonna pay the life insurance if you're robbing a bank and you die. They're just gonna return the money. This pretty much applies to life insurance with all companies too. This is pretty basic generic rules. The only thing that doesn't apply to life insurance is the whole out of the US. The life insurance pays out no matter where you die. At least ours does. Okay. So that's that. Does that make sense? Critical illness? Pretty easy to understand,
Yeah.
right?
Do you renew that on some kind of a term or?
Oh, great question. So
because somebody who's 65 obviously is going to have a hell of
yeah. So
you know,
all whole life or term and any A&H products don't have an expiration date. Well, it does expire as long as they don't pay. So it cannot be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Okay. The only thing that does have an expiration date is the A70 ADB, which is till the age of 70. Everything else, once they get it, as long as they pay for it, they can keep it for the rest of their life. However, there is an exception. No, there is no exception. There is another thing that not anyone can get an age 34, a critical illness, for example. So I think it's to the age of 70 is the cutoff line. So if you didn't get an age 34 or critical illness before the age of 70, you cannot get it anymore. Okay. Now there might be an update that is, I think now the age of 60. So to be determined. So either 60 or 70 is where the cutoff line is. What's up?
I have the years on the cheat sheet. So 60 years and younger for age 34, A71, 80 and a half and younger, cancer 70 and younger, and critical illness, I don't have that age.
Okay, you can only get these plans if you're 80 or younger, 60 or younger, and I believe this is also 60 or younger. So someone who's 65 cannot get an age 34. But if you got it before 60, then you're good as long as you pay the premium. Okay. Now, keep in mind, these are not the only qualification. This is the only qualification when it comes to age. You also have to qualify health-wise. If someone, for example, the cancer plan is someone who has cancer and you're talking to them, they cannot get a cancer plan because they have cancer. The cancer, the only qualification is, do you have cancer? No? Okay, you can get a cancer plan. That's it. Everything else, it does matter. If you have 2 DUIs in the last 2 years and you smoke and you're diabetic, you cannot get A71. There's different qualification, which we'll go over another time. Okay. So that's what the A&H entails. Okay. All of this, A&H is what you see on GroupMe. On GroupMe, you'll see, I'm in for what's a common one? 1,200 AOP and 205 A&H. Now you understand why they use those terms. That means they saw some type of whole life or term with an ADB, maybe without, and they sell some type of A&H. Most likely is the A71. Okay. PDF save. Questions? No? Beautiful. So that's pretty much it in regards to what we offer, okay? Everything we offer is found after you pass. You got to get very familiar with this. You can uncheck, check anything, type in how much whole life you need, all of that. It's all here. And then everything else is down here. Okay, educational for primary, it says 10 RNC. Again, educational is just a label that we use. In reality, this is a 10-year term.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Now, give me another 15 minutes of your time. So if you're going to use the e-app to sell, which is all of you guys did because that's how you have to pass checkout by using the e-app, you do not talk about whole life. You don't talk about term and how you can renew it. You don't talk about cash value. You don't talk about none of that. You talk about what the e-app tells you to talk about. It tells you to talk about final expenses. So this is a final expenses plan to cover your funeral. This is income protection to cover your income. This is college education in case primary dies due to an accident to cover college education. Okay, this is not a whole lot. This is not a term. Don't say that to the client because they understand it more final expenses and income. And this is what they see if you're going to use the e-app to sell to offer them life insurance. Okay, now if you're going to use the slides, which we will all eventually, because that's what the goal is, to get you to use the slides because it's a lot more simple. The slides, with any slides, after it gets to this part, so when you check out, it was only to this part. After checkout, then you can look at this part. It talks about whole life versus term. It talks about what the coverage costs here in California. All of you guys who are looking at this, at one point, this might be changed differently into different words, but it should look a little bit similar to it. Talks about freedom of choice. And there's different scenarios for different people. So here how it looks like. So you go to post checkout, presentation slides, just talk about union one, union slides. Okay. And it has everything you can offer them, it has it in there. The explanation is right here. Family plan. This is no kids. No kids, no A&H. Family plan, no A&H. Senior. Senior plan with A71. Senior plans, no A71. 10-year in term. Term family plan, no kids, no A&H. Okay. So let's say the most one family plan, husband, wife, and kids. It talks about basic preferred executive, child rider. Here's where you put down the A71. Income protection, hospital confinement, that's the age 34. If you choose to give them age 34, just type in whatever you're going to give them, but if you choose not to give them age 34, you do this. You re-edit this. Oh, sorry. Okay. You highlight this part and you just change the color. And it's done. And when you're done selling and you're done providing them, then you reset all of this back to where it was to prepare for your new presentation. Okay, same thing. If you're not giving them any A&H, then you go to the one that has no A&H and no kids, or no A&H with kids. Okay, so the way you do this is very simple. Now here are the actual terms for insurance for us. Regular, prefer, executive, select life. When we pitch them to the client, we don't use these actual terms, regular, prefer, executive, select. We don't use it. We make new terms. We label them differently. We label them as basic, prefer, executive. Just like when you go to anywhere else, when they have different levels, when you go to, I'm pretty sure you guys all been to a car wash, you'll see express, basic, luxurious, executive, CEO, I don't know. You'll see different labels. In reality, it's just more soap added. But you, as a consumer, you see it, you identify those labels of basic, whatever, or an executive package. That's where you identify the consumer. So that's where we switch it so the consumer could identify these packages as the basic one, the preferred one, the executive one. We can type in whatever we want in here. So if this is someone who cannot afford it, I can write the preferred to be 35,000, the executive to be 20,000, the basic to be 15,000. It's up to whatever I want. Okay, I can also switch it backwards. This can be 120. 60, 35. Okay, now how do you know what to give them? Well, we went over this already. It's found. Post checkout. Right there, how much to offer. Someone whose age is between 18 and 25, if they're single, offer them executive. The executive plan, which what you're gonna type in on the bubble right here on the square, should be 150. Prefer should be 20, basic should be 16. The A71, try to max it out. 500 units, so it's what you're gonna put here. So you're gonna put 50, 100, 150, 500, 1,000, 250. H34, I typically don't show them a lot. I don't usually combine that in case of specific client. Okay, but you at least want to match out whatever they make in one day. You don't want to go below what they make in a day. At least that or more. I always try to go for more. And if they're a couple, then it changes. If they're older, it changes. Okay, it just keeps going down. Now, here's also another rule of thumb. Let's say I'm sitting down with a couple. Based on this, it says to recommend them 120 each. This all has to do with whole life. This is primarily whole life, by the way. 120, then 60, then 35. However, you got to be conscious in what you're selling them. Okay. If you're seeing that they live in an apartment in Watts and they don't even have a laptop, they have a basic phone, and they live in a small home, that financially they're not where they want to be. They're struggling financially, and 100, and if I really show them this, let's say 120 ends up costing $100, actually $200 a month. Let's say this ends up costing 150, and this is 120. Okay, if I know that if I show them this, they're probably, based on everything, not going to be able to afford it. This is where I can't tell you when to do it. That's where you gotta develop that sixth sense. Then instead of showing this plan, you want to go just one down. So then this 60 will become the plan that you make up the executive one. This 35, it will become the preferred. And then 20,000 will become the basic when you first show them that here. Okay. It's weird because I can't tell you when to do it. You gotta just feel it. Now, this also goes against what I said earlier, is doesn't matter if they're making $1,000 a month or they're making 10,000. If you show the need, they will buy the policy. Doesn't matter if they have to beg, borrow, steal to pay for the policy. If you show the need, they will pay for it. But then you also gotta look at yourself, and you gotta develop the sixth sense. Like maybe it's a little too much for them. But don't. Here's also another rule. Don't try to do that. Don't judge someone based on how they live and all like that, because even if it looks like they might be struggling with money financially, I encourage you to still show this. In fact, for everyone who's new, just stick to all of this, okay? Because here's what, if it's too expensive to them, it's too expensive, you can always go down. The next one after 35 will be 20,000, and then 15, and then 10, and then 5. You can always go down, but it's really awkward to go up. So if I'm showing this and they choose the 120, I'm like, oh, great. Well, now let me show you 150. Like, well, I just said to one. It just becomes very awkward. You're not gonna really do it. But if this is too expensive, I can always go down. So let's do that. Show what's in here, regardless if you think it's too much for them. There is some exception again. If you're talking with like a single parent and they're working 10 hours, 20 hours a month, and they're a single parent living in a rent and they can barely afford to use anything, then you gotta, that's where the sixth sense comes out, and you're like, shoot, maybe I should start at 60, 30, and 20. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, perfect. So that's that. So where do we get the numbers? We get it straight from the from the needs analysis. This is the needs analysis. Once you press submit, it takes you to the super combo. There's no need to go to the super combo, for the exception of one thing, which we'll go over right now. To show them the price of a whole life, anything from a regular to an executive, you can use the needs analysis. If you want to show a select life, you can only do that using the super combo. Okay, super combo.
Can you say that again?
If you want to see the price in the whole life, the price for a whole life between 1,000 to 119, regular to executive, you can find those prices using the needs analysis, which is this part.
Oh, yeah. This
If
is
you want
up
to,
until a week ago, the cutoff was 100, then you had to go into this.
yeah. Well,
Okay,
doesn't matter
same
anymore.
thing.
That doesn't exist. Don't confuse the new people. So now, if you want to look at 120 and up, you cannot see it here, because look, if I put 120, recalculate, it jumps to 119. 150, it jumps to 119. It goes back to 119. So if you want to see how much a select life costs, you have to go to the super combo, so you have to press submit. Okay, but if I know I'm sitting down with a couple who's between the ages of who's 40 years old, a couple, I know that I don't need to go to super combo, because the options that I'm gonna show them are right here. So I'm not even gonna go to the super combo. I'm gonna stay here, because the super combo, it's this right here. To find out prices is a lot quicker. You can just compare to super combo, it's very slow. When you make any edits in the super combo, it's very slow, the system. This is a lot better. Okay, so what am I gonna do when I'm talking to the client?
You're gonna get the rates here and you're gonna fill them in on the slide.
Exactly. So I'm filling this out. First, you gotta find out, make sure all this is good, their date of birth, because it determines the price. First, after I'm done with the whatever benefit I just finished talking about, the need discount, the AIO plus, AD&D, child safe. But okay, great. So here, Charles, is we're gonna put the information so we can send you the AIO plus card. So your email is this, your email is that. You should know this info because you have the lead right in front of you. Unless it's a referral, then you ask. Okay, and you did a birth. And then here, I'm gonna continue to fill out all the family that I'm gonna provide insurance to. And I'm not gonna say that this information is for insurance. what I typically combine is say, okay, so John, we want to make sure that not just you, but your wife and your kids can get these benefits. So let's put them in. So they think that all this is for them to have access to the AO Plus. In reality, this is just for us to find out the price, but they just go with it. Okay, and then we go into the needs analysis. Okay, so this is the last part of the program. This determines if we can help you with life insurance. Again, it has to do with your health. So you ask them all these questions. You all knew, so you just literally read it out. If you're new, just literally read the sentence, please. Internal cancer, blah, blah, instant diabetes, cardiac disease, are currently using oxygen, terminal illness, Alzheimer's. Just read all of it word by word because you're new. Okay. The only question that is not in here, but you have to ask is, have you tested positive for COVID in the last 3 months? If it's yes, they don't qualify. If it's no, they qualify. Okay. Someone who tested positive for COVID and there were only they had a quarantine at home, they can get life insurance after 3 months. Okay. But if they had COVID, again, if they did have COVID, quarantine, 3 months later, they can get life insurance. But if they have COVID and they were confined to the hospital, they have to wait 6 months. Okay. 6 months.
Say that again?
They have to wait 6 months if they're confined to the hospital due to COVID. They have to wait 3 months if they just quarantine at home.
3 months after they were diagnosed.
Because people that have COVID, either it's just go home and quarantine, or yeah, you have to be confined to the hospital because you're gonna die.
I have a
Yes,
question. If they're confined to the hospital due to COVID, it's assuming that they're on a ventilator, right?
Yeah, if they're confined to the hospital, that's because it's severe. So not assuming they're in a no.
So it doesn't really matter all those details. It's just if they're in the hospital.
Yeah, because if they're confined in the hospital due to COVID, it's serious.
Okay.
And most likely they are, and like the breathing tube and all that.
Okay.
Okay, that's the only question that you're gonna ask that is not in here. Another question you're gonna ask that is not in here. So 2 questions, that, and then if they smoke any marijuana. So you want to ask that after the tobacco question. Have you smoked any tobacco in the last 12 months? Yes, no. This will just increase the price. Don't tell them that though. Don't say, okay, you do smoke? Okay, great. You're gonna pay more. Don't say that. That's gonna turn away any client. Just say, okay, great, and just mark it out. Okay, sometimes they'll ask, wait, does that disqualify me? No, it doesn't. They just want to know. Okay. And
Wait, so
then
if it's marijuana, you put it under the tobacco?
no. I'm saying,
Oh,
don't forget to ask this. If they do say it, don't make it a big deal. And then after that, you say, okay, what about any use of marijuana? Do you smoke weed? And if they say yes, that's fine too. That doesn't disqualify them. The next question you want to follow up with, if they do smoke any marijuana, you want to say, how often? Is it a daily thing, or like once, twice, 3 times a week? People that smoke marijuana daily, they don't qualify for life insurance. Okay. A daily smoker is declined by default. You guys got
Even if
that?
they bought it, they would forget they had a policy.
Yeah, Mr. Joker right there. Maybe. I don't know, but yeah, they cannot, they can do it. All right, cool. All right.
But, okay, so anything less than daily use, it's a non-issue.
Correct. Okay. Current operational parole. And then that's all I asked. All the way to current operational parole. All this, I don't ask. You guys can take a guess why? No? Okay. Because it doesn't matter. The reason the company have you ask these questions, because based on all of this, whatever you put here will determine how much we offer. But I don't care what the computer e-app tells me we're going to offer. We already know what we're going to offer based on the rate. You guys understand?
yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be filling in that stuff anyway.
Yes. So I don't really care how much they make, how much they have to work, how much life insurance they have this. I don't really care. So I'm just going to zero everything out, and I'm going to put 200 for income, or 1,000. Doesn't really matter, because I already know what to offer them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to ask them, hey, so, what do you currently have through your job? How much life insurance you have through your job? You have 200,000? Okay, cool. but I'm not gonna write it down because it doesn't matter. But I'm still gonna ask to get them more involved. How much life insurance you have outside of work, or you have a policy already you guys are paying for? Great. Is it whole life or term? So let me correct myself. I'm still gonna ask all these questions, but I'm not gonna write it down here because this, I don't care what the e-app tells me to recommend. I already know what I'm gonna recommend. You guys understand that?
Yeah.
From this point on, you just press submit, and then you try to go all the way to the needs analysis. However, from this point on, I stop sharing. Okay, so let's assume I am no longer sharing. I'm gonna share with you guys as an agent, but let's pretend as a client, you cannot see my screen. So after I get this, my goal is to get from here all the way to the needs analysis where I can mess around with the application.
The what?
And then I'm not sharing my screen, but the doesn't mean that you're just gonna be quiet and be awkward, you know. So the way I do it is during this time, I'm asking them the health questions. Everything we just saw, I'm asking them during this time because I already memorized it. You guys are, if you guys are new, read it, but later it's just gonna be common sense. So pretending I'm not unsharing and all you see is this, I'll be asking, okay, so the only question I do ask before I do submit is a smoking question because I gotta put that so they can give me the smoker rate. Other than that, I stop sharing. So let's pretend I stop sharing. So have you guys been diagnosed with COVID in the last 2 months? No? No? Oh, okay. And then currently on probation or parole, convicted of the DUI. As I'm asking those questions, I'm unchecking term or calculate, checking GIO, and then I'm messing around with this. 35,000. So no code in the last 2 months. Okay. And then any use of marijuana? No. Okay. And then so on and so on. Now, while me asking those questions, if I find out something like they have COVID in the last 20 months, and like last month, then I know they don't qualify. And that's fine. I can just end right here. But I want to know the smoker before I move on because it determines smoker rates or not. Okay. Then after that, you might have to have like a minute or two where you ask them, hey, give me 1 minute. I'm going to just write everything up to see what you can qualify for. You know, sometimes you have to do that. So now I know, let's say 35,000. Let's say I add A71 for the whole family. I'm going to max out the units 500. Okay. So now I know 35,000 for John, 35,000 for Jasmine, A71 for the kids. That's pretty much it. Child rider, $6.25 for unlimited kids. That's going to cost me $159. So get a piece of paper, get anything you want. You always have to have a paper outside of you. Okay. So 135,000 for the whole family, husband and wife, child rider, and the A71 costs 159. Always round up to the nearest dollar. So 35,000, that would be 160. Now let's just type in 50,000 here. 60,000. 60,000. That's 220. 221. So we're gonna round up to 222. Okay. 2222. And then the next one will be to figure out what 120,000 costs. 120,000 cannot be found here, can only be found on a super combo, which is once you press submit, you can do it. Before we do that, there is an additional add-on you can do. It's called waiver of premium. You click it, recalculate, and it asks the thing right here, waiver of premium. What the waiver of premium is, I suggest you guys click on that and read all of it. It just means if you're ever on disability for 6 consecutive months and you're unable to work, on month number 6, we're going to refund you the last 6 months you paid, and then we're going to waive all future premiums until disability is over. So while you cannot work, we'll pay for the life insurance and you continue when everything goes back to normal. Okay, you can add that on and add it in there. So now that changes the price too. I encourage you to add a waiver of premium to every single person. It's a huge, huge recommendation. So waiver of premium, 60,000, that makes it instead of 222 is now 228. And then the 35,000. Makes it 164. Then you're gonna press submit. Go to your super combo. Let it load. This is where I'd rather do everything in needs analysis because it's very slow. So only go in here if you need to have select numbers. And then that's when here, you see the little boxes. This is insured A, insured B, insured C. So insured A is the primary, has its own little boxes. Insured B has its own little box. Insured C are the kids if you're gonna sell Head Starts. You go to select life, 120,000. Always mark TIR, that's terminal illness rider. Waiver of premium. The same thing for her. TIR, waiver of premium. And this is already marked here. Altogether is 347. Don't forget, this is not the actual price what to pay a month. You got to remove the policy fee. So what their policy costs $342.26. $342. The first premium is always $5 more. Okay. So the other one is 343 because we're around to the nearest dollar. All this, by the way, there's going to be a different video that goes into detail with all of this. Then we go to our, now we know the numbers. Perfect. So this one is 334. Again, I'm still unsharing. They don't see all this. It's behind the scenes. 228, 164. Now that everything is completed, and assuming I fill all this out, we're gonna go over the one thing I forgot, the kids. With the A71, the kids are covered as well, but it's not the same as a parent. Ooh, not in there.
Always 20%. 20% of what the primary and the spouse have, it's always 20% of that amount.
So the
So
hospital confinement is always the same, regardless if they're kids or adults. The death benefit is what changes. If they're kids, do you guys see where I'm at, kids, the pink?
Mhm.
Okay. If they're kids, then it's for the 100 unit, any is 2,000. Okay, so just like you said, so it's 2,000, and then you do the same math. You just double it, so it becomes 4,000 for the auto, and then the 2,000 you triple it, so it becomes 6,000. It follows the same rule. So just know the A71 100 starts at 2. Okay, and then the A71 200 unit starts at double that, so it's 4,000. Okay, and so that'll be 8,000 and 16. Okay, and then
12, right,
and then the 300 unit.
Daniel?
What's up? Oh,
It's
12.
4, 8, 12. Yeah.
Okay, then the 300 unit is 6, 12, and then 18. You guys following along? Okay. Don't worry, you can always text me that because that took me like 6 months to memorize, even though it's so simple.
Yeah, if ever you forget, just 20% of one of them, and then just double it and then triple it.
Okay, so if I'm offering a 500 unit, their kids are 10,000. Starts with 10,000. Now I memorize it. 20,000 and 30,000. That's a lot of coverage. Then I'm filling this one out. 500. 1,000, 250. I'm hiding this because I'm not offering them any ANH. Given the waiver premium. Okay. Then I go over here. I press present slides right here. Leave it here. And then they still see this, just me. And then I put share that part, and then we just continue. Just like the regular presentation. Great. So so what do you know about life insurance? Okay, so let me go into it. So, primarily based on your health, age, gender, criminal records, there's two types, whole life is term, you ran, so on and so on. Whole life is this, so on and so on. Okay, everyone is different. Which one of this works for you? Which one do you want to get? Let's get the whole life. Okay, great. I also agree with you. Perfect. Whole life it is. All right, great. Just so you know, this is how much it costs in California, blah, 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 blah. Great. Okay, awesome. So one thing that's going to include in your policy is the freedom of choice, which allows you to use the life insurance to pay for the funeral right away, which is really important because it takes a long time. Here's what we're recommending: protection. We also want to recommend living benefits, which is why I asked you how much you make in a day. You say you made about $400 a day, okay, or $200 a day, okay. So whole life, we recommend basic plan, and that's where you keep clicking, and you talk as everything goes in there. Bam, 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 bam. I mean, you guys seen this all the time. I mean, I don't know you, Jennifer. You only done POS, but you and Charles and Bill, you guys seen all this. Okay, great. So which one of these plans do you guys want to get? Oh, well, after this. From there, if it's too pricey, then you just go down. What's the next step below 35? What's the next, Charles?
25.
Bill?
20.
20. Okay. And then the next one after 20, if they can't afford that, what's the next
15.
one? 15. And the next one after 15, Jennifer?
And oh, sorry.
Do you know, Jennifer?
Yeah, I said 10.
10. And then after that is 5. Okay. So you want to follow that specific rule. Okay. And then, so it's always, 120, 60, 50, 30, 20, 15, 10, and 5. Now let's say they say they don't pick whole life. Then cool. You just go to the term. Give them term. Try to follow the same rule. 120, 60, and so on and so on. Okay. And that's how you get all that information from the super combo into here. Once they choose one, then you take a screenshot, and then so you can send it to them later, but that's another class which we already went over, which is available on the slides. Okay. There's going to be another video, by the way, of what all of this means, how to fill it out, how to get all this and all this in here. That video will go over in detail all of that. You're really gonna like that video. And it's gonna explain all of these details too. ADB, B2000, CRR, spouse, and so on and so on. It's gonna go all of that. Okay. And then there's gonna be another video that tells you how to fill the super combo after they say yes. The rule of thumb is fill out everything in blue. Except question number 12. You do not touch question number 12. That's pretty much it. Okay. You guys have any questions? Okay, let me end the recording. Thank you.